Fucker. Dude, Max Holloway is a real fucking warrior. I mean, to the core. That guy relishes it. He loves it. When he was like chicken necking at Aldo and he's got his hands down, he's talking shit to him and stalking him, you could see it in Aldo's face like he was drowning. You could see the waves were coming and he knew he wasn't going to be able to dog paddle for too long. Like, he's like, Jesus Christ, like, how am I going to keep up with this guy? And the thing about Max Holloway that's so interesting is he in a lot of ways, he has that sort of Nick Diaz approach where he's not hitting you with all of his might. He's not throwing these haymakers unless he's got you hurt. Until he's got you hurt. Once he's got you hurt, then he's just fucking whipping bombs your way. But until then, he's just constantly on you, just constantly peppering you, constantly on you. Kick, knee, punch, move forward, move forward. And you're just dealing with him and trying to breathe. You don't get any breath. And he just keeps that.
When you get a Charles Oliveira fight, you're getting ready for a fight, you know. And then when you're watching one of my fights, you know there's going to be a fight. So it's going to be fireworks, you know. Here March 7th in Las Vegas, it's going to be good fun. Brazilian fans, please tune in. March 7th. I think it's going to be March 8th for you guys, I believe. Tune in. It's going to be fireworks. Me and the legend is going to do some work in there, and it's all for you guys.
No belt, no smiles, just unfinished business simmering under the lights. A rematch nobody managed to erase. Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira are circling back to each other, and the debate is already on fire. They say Max's pace suffocates, that he drags opponents into deep water and leaves them there. Others warn this isn't the same Charles, this one bites back. This isn't nostalgia, it's a collision of evolutions. Which version survives right now? Forget history. Let's tear it apart.
Holloway versus Oliveira at UFC 326. Who do you think leaves with that BMF belt?
I got my eye on that one, man. I think Max gets the win. I think Oliveira is coming off of a pretty devastating knockout and turned around real quick, jumped into another training camp, and I got my eyes set on that BMF belt if Max wins, so we'll see.
Joe Rogan paints Max Holloway as something more relentless than technical, a pressure machine wired for chaos and control at the same time. He highlights Holloway's eerie comfort drifting between orthodox and southpaw, slicing new angles out of nowhere, shifting stances so smoothly it feels rehearsed yet completely spontaneous, all while marching forward without pause. Max doesn't just pressure, he stalks with rhythm. He'll switch stance in the middle of a combination, pivot off the line the instant an exchange ends, and refuse to sit in front of danger long enough to be solved. Rogan emphasizes the unsettling part. Even when Holloway gets cracked clean, he doesn't break form. He compresses, absorbs the impact, fires back through it, and keeps advancing as if the shot only fed the engine. The tempo never dips. The flow never fractures. It's suffocation disguised as movement, and once it starts, it rarely stops.
You know, excellent footwork, combinations, cuts angles well, reads the fight. That's the main thing, you know what I mean? He reads the fight, so, yeah.
He reads the fight, and he's so good at implementing that strategy of, like, consistent pressure, constant angles, switching stances, and he switches stances flawlessly. Fights just as good southpaw as he does orthodox, and he'll switch in the middle of a combination and then turn corners on you.
Absolutely. That's right. He's not there to be counted.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing, man.
Really good.
And when you hit him back...
Michael Bisping rewinds the tape to 2015, to that first flashpoint between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. At the opening bell, Holloway looked razor-sharp light on his feet, stitching together crisp combinations while gliding sideways to smother Oliveira's early takedown attempts. Every level change was met with slick lateral movement, every grab slipping through air. Then, in a sudden shift near the end, Oliveira forced to scramble. He snuck in a pair of hard knees and shot for a desperate double leg, trying to flip the script in seconds. But Holloway reacted instantly, digging in an underhook, twisting him off the line, turning him away from the shot and stealing back control. And then chaos. Oliveira appeared to suffer a strange injury almost immediately after. Whispers pointed to his throat or esophagus, and the momentum evaporated in confusion. Just over a minute into the fight, it was over. No dramatic finish, no clean conclusion, just a sudden stoppage that left the result hanging in uncertainty. abrupt and unsettling.
Of course, this would be a rematch. They did fight before. The first match went down in 2015 and the fight got underway. Max Holloway was looking really nice on the feet, using beautiful combinations, using excellent circular footwork to avoid the takedowns of Charles Oliveira. Charles was grabbing a hold of the tie clinch, dropping a couple of knees, shoots a double leg takedown. Max Holloway gets an underhook, spins him off him, uses the underhook, gets top position, and then Charles Oliveira, seemingly injured, apparently it was an esophagus injury, something to do with the throat, and that was that. The fight finished in 1 minute 39 seconds, and it was kind of uneventful. Okay, the fight was only just getting started, and it was very unfortunate for Charles Oliveira. Okay, yes, Max Holloway won the fight, but it wasn't like a knockout. Yes, it's down as a TKO, esophagus injury, but Max didn't.
Bisping doesn't sell this as a matchup, he calls it a head-on collision. In his view, Charles Oliveira isn't the type to probe or hesitate. He storms forward, throws with venom, layers sharp Muay Thai precision into every exchange, and the second the fight hits the canvas, he can erase you in a heartbeat. There's no warm-up round with Charles, just immediate danger. Then Bisping flips the lens to Max Holloway's mentality. After a savage war with Gaethje and a chilling knockout loss to Topuria, Holloway didn't retreat into safe matchups or careful rebuilds. He didn't circle the rankings looking for comfort. He demanded the most dangerous name breathing. That, Bisping argues, is the difference. It's not matchmaking, it's mindset. Walking straight back into the fire after being burned isn't recklessness, it's identity. That's why this fight doesn't need hype. That's why the BMF tag doesn't feel manufactured here. And when Holloway's story is finally told, Bisping believes it won't just be about volume, technique, or championships, it will be about nerve. About choosing peril on purpose, about a fighter who never flinched when the door to chaos swung open.
Charles Oliveira doesn't give a damn. He walks down his opponents. He's great on the feet. He's got big power. He's got excellent Muay Thai. And on the ground, he is an absolute wizard. He will just find a submission and take it. And Max Holloway, he's ready for the challenge. And that's what the BMF is all about. Look, listen, call it a weird, silly, made-up title. Call it whatever you want. But this is a fight, I believe, that sells itself. And I would love to see them challenge for the BMF belt. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, the rematch. This is a fight that I think everybody would love to see. And it just speaks about Max Holloway and this guy's attitude. Yes, he beat Justin Gaethje and then got knocked out against Ilia Topuria. And what's he trying to do? Is he trying to rebuild himself? Is he trying to look for easy fights? Is he trying to chip off a couple of people, get a couple of easy paydays? No. He's calling out the next guy up in the lightweight division. He's saying, yeah, I'll fight Charles Oliveira. That commands your respect, my respect, everybody's respect. And that's why Max Holloway, when the time comes, he will go down as one of the greatest fighters. I mean, the strategy that he had.
That outlook mirrors exactly how Max Holloway sees this moment. He's been blunt about it. Another victory over Charles Oliveira wouldn't just close a chapter, it would stamp his legacy with something undeniable. This isn't about revenge, it's about elevation. Holloway has openly noted how fast the narrative around the BMF title transformed, how it went from being brushed off as a gimmick to suddenly becoming the prize everybody is chasing. To him, that reversal says everything. It means the belt finally carries the grit and consequence it was supposed to from the start. Max isn't puzzled by the spotlight, and he's definitely not sidestepping it. He leans into it. He understands that when you give an idea real meaning, when you fight often enough and hard enough to make people believe, the danger escalates with it. The target grows larger, the challengers get sharper, and the wars become unavoidable. Holloway doesn't see that as pressure, he sees it as proof. Proof that the risks are real, the stakes are heavier, and the path forward only gets steeper from here.
To be able to defend the BMF belt once again, add to the legacy, have another win over Charles, just what would that mean for you?
It means a lot, you know. It's just hilarious to me. I'm sure it's hilarious to you guys. You know, a lot of guys, they looked at the BMF belt, and a lot of people talked a bunch about the BMF belt, and now every single person that ever talked about it is calling me out. So it's hilarious how it turned, and we're here now, and I'm just glad that we gave the BMF belt some meaning, because it should have. And
However, MMA Guru tilts the scale toward Charles Oliveira, and his reasoning isn't nostalgia, it's evolution. He argues Oliveira's wrestling no longer resembles the reckless entries of old. Gone are the desperate dives for back takes and hopeful trips. Now Charles shoots with intention, gets deep on the hips, clasps his hands tight, and elevates opponents clean off the floor. Guru points to flashes against elite competition where Oliveira bullied the clinch, dominated double underhooks, and displayed a kind of raw, controlled strength that simply didn't exist in his earlier run. This isn't the same opportunistic grappler waiting for chaos, it's a calculated hunter manufacturing it. With sharper entries and heavier top control, Guru believes Oliveira doesn't need long exchanges to win. He could drag Holloway down before the rhythm builds, before the volume starts flowing, and once it hits the mat, the window shrinks fast. One scramble, one exposed neck, one blink, and the fight could be over before Max ever gets comfortable enough to turn it into his kind of war.
How does Max versus Charles go? I'll go Oliveira, chat. Who else is very impressed with his takedown entries that he's added to his game? Even when he went for it on Ilya and went for the 50-50 throw, I was like, oh my God, dude, he's strong in this double under position. He's never been like that before. He always used to shoot in and try and get the back from it and fail to take down. Like, he was never picking up Gaethje and dunking him or getting his hands behind the arse of Poirier and getting his hands connected and dunking him down. It was very throw and trip oriented, but he's now like getting in on the hips, hands connected, picking him up. Picking up Gamrot like that, even though Gamrot balanced and stayed in a good position and then eventually gave up his back anyway. His entries are a lot better. So I think he would get down Max and sub him.
He's quick to add that Holloway isn't some helpless figure in the grappling equation either. Max may not storm out hunting slams in round 1, but his offensive wrestling has quietly sharpened, especially in high-level clashes like the one with Ilia Topuria. He's proven he can sprawl on clean entries, counter the level change, and even flip sustained pressure into takedowns of his own when opponents overcommit. That evolution matters. But Guru also focuses on something less technical and more volatile, the shift in Holloway's mindset since the knockout loss. There's a different edge now, more direct, more confrontational, almost resentful. He's not just smiling through exchanges anymore, there's a bite behind it. Guru believes the combination, refined skill layered over a harder emotional core, creates a far more dangerous version of Max heading into a second meeting with Oliveira. It's not just about adjustments, it's about intention. A fighter who feels overlooked, who hears the doubt, who chooses to weaponize it. And when that sharper mentality meets a rival who's also evolved, the rematch stops being technical debate and starts feeling like something personal.
Holloway's not going to drop him in the first round. I don't think, anyway. I don't know. I think he'll actually be able to get takedowns because his offensive wrestling has massively improved. And watching Ilya shooting on the hips of Holloway, pick him up and dunk him on the ground like that in round 1, with Oliveira's pressure earlier, I can see that working for him. Max Holloway has turned into a trash talker since the KO. Yes. Thank you for the 2. He has, hasn't he? He really has gotten a lot more bitter. He was saying, you know, Oliveira did some BS injury. He's 1-0 down. We got some shit to solve. I like it, though.
Moreover, Michael Chandler keeps a keen eye on the BMF implications swirling around the Holloway versus Oliveira rematch. He leans toward Holloway, warning that Oliveira isn't entering this fight from a clean slate. He's fresh off a heavy knockout and thrust straight into another grueling camp, a setup that could leave him a fraction slow, a beat behind. Chandler frames that as a critical edge for Max, who he insists is firing on all cylinders, physically primed, mentally ruthless, ready to pounce on any crack in Oliveira's armor. But Chandler doesn't stop at mere fight analysis, he elevates the stakes. To him, this isn't just about punches or takedowns, it's a chance for Holloway to seize a symbolic trophy that has morphed into something heavier, a belt now brimming with history and consequence. Winning isn't just about scorecards, it's about narrative, momentum, and the kind of legacy that whispers long after the lights dim. For Chandler, the fight crystallizes a simple truth. The victor isn't only the one who survives the rounds, but the one who emerges with power, recognition, and a reinforced claim at the apex of the sport. This isn't entertainment, it's a test of timing, resilience, and the ability to grasp history while it's being written, and Chandler believes Holloway's grasp may be the strongest of them all.
Holloway versus Oliveira at UFC 326. Who do you think leaves with that BMF belt?
I got my eye on that one, man. I think Max gets the win. I think Oliveira is coming off of a pretty devastating knockout and turned around real quick, jumped into another training camp, and I got my eyes set on that BMF belt if Max wins. So we'll.
Building on that, Chandler also dives into Oliveira's path to this moment, tracing the arc that turned flashes of potential into undeniable menace. Even in just a few UFC minutes early on, Oliveira's spark hinted at a future champion, a promise that ignited into a rapid ascent no one could ignore. Key victories over Gaethje and Poirier didn't just pad a record, they showcased a complete arsenal, blending precise striking, relentless grappling, and submission mastery into a package that demands respect. Chandler emphasizes that it's not simply Oliveira's raw talent that elevates the danger, it's the trajectory he's carved, a steady climb that has sharpened instincts and forged a versatile, unpredictable threat. When you factor in timing, momentum, and accumulated experience, the rematch takes on an almost cinematic intensity, a proven, evolving champion squaring off against a peak Holloway, each carrying history, stakes, and the weight of reputation. It's more than a fight, it's a collision of legacies, a moment where skill, psychology, and opportunity converge, leaving nothing to chance. The context transforms every strike, every grapple, every calculation into something far greater than the sum of its parts, and Chandler makes clear why the world will be watching not just for the outcome, but for the story that unfolds in those fleeting, electrified minutes.
So I had 2.5 minutes of UFC fight time under my belt. So I was green, I was inexperienced. I think a star was born that night. That was really the night whenever Charles became champion, and then he went on the run and he beat Gaethje, he beat Poirier. He really became the champion and really solidified himself.
But Anthony Smith confesses he's often misjudged Charles Oliveira, and every single time, Oliveira rewrites the script. From decisive wins over Gaethje, Chandler, and Poirier, he's consistently converted skeptics into grudging believers. Smith admits he once fixated on Oliveira's early reliance on jiu-jitsu, worried about how hittable he could be and how explosive an opponent's wrestling or striking might become. Yet Oliveira has a habit of defying expectations. Time and again, he adapts mid-fight, seizes control, and dismantles threats that on paper seem insurmountable. Smith stresses that this pattern of learning, adjusting, and mastering the unpredictable makes Oliveira a truly formidable puzzle for Holloway. This rematch isn't about punch counts, takedown stats, or fleeting momentum, it's a collision of intellect, evolution, and in-the-moment problem-solving. Oliveira's track record proves he thrives in chaos, flips disadvantage into leverage, and forces his opponent to solve multiple layers of danger at once. For Smith, that's precisely what elevates the stakes. Holloway faces not just a fighter with tools, but a mind that recalibrates faster than most can anticipate. Every minute in the cage is a chess match with fists, and Oliveira's history ensures he's not merely present, he's a constant threat, a living reminder that this rematch is about more than skill alone. It's a proving ground for intelligence, adaptability, and raw, unflinching fight instincts.
Man, this is another one of those fights where I need to do a better job of maybe listening to the masses a little less, because I picked against Oliveira versus Gaethje. I picked against Oliveira versus Chandler. I picked against him versus Dustin Poirier. And every time he makes a liar out of me. And I think I weigh too much how hittable he is. That's the thing that's always bothered me. You get in there with a guy like Chandler who can control where the fight happens because he's such a good wrestler and it's got explosive power in his hands. And you're a guy who largely depended on his jiu-jitsu for a long time, who's hittable. Like, I don't know why you would pick Oliveira versus Chandler. And then you go Poirier. We're like, well, come on, this is Dustin goddamn Poirier. Like, he's the uncrowned champion, right? Who's great wrestler, defensively specifically, and got firepower in his hands. Like, okay, that seems like a...
Smith presses further, spotlighting Oliveira's striking evolution with the intensity of a revelation. He points out that against top-tier foes like Gaethje, Chandler, and Poirier, Oliveira's stand-up game has not only kept pace with his legendary grappling, it sometimes surpasses it. What was once a glaring vulnerability has transformed into a weapon. He can absorb punishment, weather relentless pressure, and still push forward while landing sharp, precise counters. Smith stresses that this blend of resilience, striking refinement, and already elite submission skills turns Oliveira into a multidimensional threat, a fighter who forces opponents to respect every angle at all times. For Holloway, that's the stark reality. This isn't merely a bout, it's a confrontation with someone who has repeatedly rewritten expectations, a fighter whose evolution refuses to pause. Every approach Holloway plans, every rhythm he tries to impose, risks being dismantled by Oliveira's adaptability. The combination of grit, technical growth, and the unpredictability of his submissions creates a landscape where miscalculations are punished instantly, and success demands flawless execution. Smith's perspective paints the rematch as a chessboard with moving pieces, a relentless proving ground where Holloway faces not just a skilled adversary but a living, evolving test of every ounce of his craft and instinct, a matchup where history, momentum, and innovation collide in the unforgiving cage.
Pick, like you'd probably pick Oliveira, and then Gaethje, you're like, well, come on now. Gaethje's a goddamn Division I All-American and dynamite on his feet. Why would you not pick Gaethje over Oliveira? And then he just, every time he changes the game. It's like sometimes it makes me feel like he listens to what I say and then he just does the opposite. Like, yeah. So I'm done. I'm going Oliveira because I think that his striking has caught up significantly to his grappling. I think that he's dangerous on his feet now than he hasn't always been that dangerous on his feet. I mean, how many wars have we seen Gaethje in and his ability to come back and still land even when he's hurt? I mean, he got sank, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One shot, and then submitted. So he did the same to Chandler and he just wore out Poirier, like was able to withstand. I mean, he took big shots against Poirier and was never shook. I think that his grappling is going to be dangerous.
Additionally, A.J. Fletcher paints Oliveira as almost untouchable in this moment, a fighter firing on all cylinders with terrifying consistency. Every facet of his game is synchronized, every movement intentional, every strike carrying threat. Fletcher emphasizes that Oliveira's striking is deceptively intricate. Beneath a Muay Thai foundation lies a precision-driven boxing arsenal, fluidly mixing kicks, knees, and punches in sequences that confound timing and rhythm. He doesn't telegraph, he manipulates distance and angle, forcing opponents to react to a constantly shifting puzzle. Fletcher stresses that this isn't just technical brilliance, it's timing, awareness, and raw confidence coalescing into near perfection. For him, the evidence is overwhelming. Oliveira is poised to dominate, a fighter whose peak form leaves little room for error, little margin for doubt. Every opponent, no matter their reputation, faces the same relentless, multifaceted threat. Fletcher's prediction is clear: this isn't a contest of chance, it's a collision with someone whose evolution has reached a dangerous apex, a man whose skill, adaptability, and instinct make him ready for any challenge thrown inside the cage, a force that could redefine what it means to control a fight from start to finish.
Dude, it's hard to see anything going against Charles right now. The dude looks like a zombie, and everywhere, his whole game, it's all come together. And he's got a weird style on the feet too. He's got like a Muay Thai style, but he's got very, very good boxing. And he almost uses his Muay Thai to, like, oddly enough, set you up for his boxing, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna rock with.
So, who do you think will leave the cage standing, Oliveira or Holloway? Share your predictions in the comments, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to catch every pulse-pounding breakdown, insider insight, and all the latest fight updates you won't want to miss.